Welcome back, Disciples Nation Ministries. This is part 2 of the Bible study, Overcoming Temptations. And we are now into our practical points. Pride and smugness, we found out in verse number 12 of chapter 10 of 1 Corinthians, um, often lead to failure. So we know that a prideful spirit, haughty spirit, pride comes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. And then verse 12 also let us know that smugness and pride would ultimately lead to failure. So if you don't want to fail, stay far away from pride and smugness. The Christian cannot escape temptation, verse 13 teaches us, but with God's help, we are able to overcome and we can be victorious because He does provide a way of escape, and it's up to us to pay attention and to find that way of escape. Idolatry is a present day evil. It's very present. It was not just something that the people in the Bible days dealt with. It's something that we very much deal with today. And verses 14 and 15 lets us know that we must flee from it. Nothing changed between their time and our time. God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, and we must take heed to His word. So verses 16 and 18 kind of tapped on affiliation brings on assimilation. So if we regularly fellowship with another, then we as people would have identified with that person and his or her causes on some level, and that is still true today. We don't affiliate ourselves with people that we have not assimilated ourselves on some type of level with. So, my husband always says if you go to the barbershop long enough, you're going to get your hair cut. Thank you, Pastor, for that in your absence. Verses 19 and 20 lets us know that if we fellowship with the world's idols, it automatically partners us with devils. The same thing was true back then, the same thing is true now. We are not to fellowship with the world's idols. We are in the world, but we are not of the world. God is calling us to a state of separation. Verses 21 and 22 lets us know that if we willingly participate in evils, we are inviting the Lord's discipline. As a matter of fact, I would submit to you on today that the Lord said that if you want to tie yourself up with all these kind of idols and all these kind of messes, He'll pretty much leave you in them. So I don't think that's a good place to be. I don't want to be there. I would encourage you not to be there. But the Lord does chastise those who He loves, and discipline is definitely discipline would definitely be a side effect that you would experience if you want to invite or participate with evil. Don't do it. It would behoove you to be holy, for God is holy. He told us, be ye holy, for I am holy. Yes, we're humans, and no, we don't get it right all the time, but it is our intent to try to meet the goal, to not participate in evil. So as a saint of God, do your best to not participate in evil. So then we have research and discussion. How does pride often lead to the believer's downfall? What things are men often tempted to take pride in? And the scriptural verses would be Jeremiah 9 and 23 through verses 24, and Matthew 3 and 9. We won't go over the discussion here. We'll go over the discussion in class. It is wrong to be tempted. Is it wrong to be tempted? Why or why not? What's the difference between the temptation that God allows and the temptation that Satan designs? And we already covered that in tonight's Bible study, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13. So if you want to go back and read it, you can. And what ways of escape can you list? And there were some ways listed that you can cross-reference in Genesis 39, 6 through 12. How would you distinguish between befriending the lost and fellowshipping with evil? And that we actually did cover tonight in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 16 through 18. You can also go to John 17 and 18, Romans 12, verses 1 and 2, 2 Corinthians 6, 14, 1 John 2, 15 through 17. And then our final research and discussion would be, what idols do men and women serve today? And what point can the good gifts of God become idols even in the Christian's life? Deuteronomy 6 and 10 through 15 talks about this, and so does Romans 1, 25 through 27.